Is everybody here? If anyone's not here, please let me know. Sorry, old joke. So this is the first evening of this 9-day retreat. So there may be some people coming in a little bit later. They arrive later, so that's okay. You won't disturb many people on the first day of the retreat. But of course it's a welcome to everybody. And some of you I've known for a long time. And I don't know how many retreats you've been coming to. It's a bit depressing for me. All these retreats you've been coming to, you're still not enlightened. But it's not the point. The point is that it's a nice peaceful place. And it's a quiet routine we're doing for the next few days. And little by little, whether you think you're an experienced meditator or not an experienced meditator, whether you think it's easy or hard, it doesn't really matter at all. Because what happens is the place just brings you along. You like entering this like current, like you fall into a stream, and the stream just takes you by itself as you go deeper and deeper and deeper into peace and quietness. That's the nature of this. So you don't have to really worry or just to measure any progress or lack of progress, because progress is not the path of meditation. It's I call it like ingress, going inside, not going onwards. Not trying to get somewhere, but realizing what it's like just to be here. And little by little, you find just learning how to be here, you go inside of things. And you get more peaceful, more energized, more mindful, more happy. And it's like your brain starts to energize as it enjoys the power of meditation. And the stillness and the insights and the far-seeing start to really take off. And a lot of time you find that when you try and force it along, or you try and delay it, you're just messing around with things. Your job is, you're on the journey, you got the bus ticket here at Jhana Grove, just to sit down and relax and see what happens. And the more you relax and see what happens, the more peaceful and the more joyful and the healthier you actually get in your meditation. It's a beautiful path. And of course, in the next few days, you'll be telling everybody more instructions and about how to meditate. But a lot of times, it's teaching people but how not to not meditate. In other words, pointing out the problems and learning how to put aside those problems so that you can allow just the meditation to happen. And I like the word of letting it happen because it's a natural state of human beings, a default state. Yeah, you can work if you want to, but a lot of times it's one of the easiest things in the world to do. If you have the courage, if you have the daring to let it happen and for you to get out of the way. This is one of those similes which I love doing at the beginning of a meditation retreat. Some of you have seen this before. Who is close to Desi? You're close enough. Desi, no, she's already in deep meditation. Okay, come up here. You're an honest person?
I try.
You try, yes, of course you do. Now, I'm going to try and hold this cup of water perfectly still. Some of you have seen this before. So can you come up, please? You need a closer look. Can you please tell me, is this water, is it moving or has it stopped moving yet?
Moving.
It's moving, okay. Why? It's because I'm not paying any attention, am I? I'm not being mindful. I now be mindful. Has it stopped moving yet?
Moving.
Okay, I'll concentrate. Has it stopped moving yet?
Moving. Still.
Now that's how many people meditate. Try and be aware, try and concentrate, try to keep this perfectly still. And you'll find if you practice that way, you'll just have lots of headaches on this retreat. And you'll never be able to achieve that result of stillness. And you've seen me do this before, Desi. How do I keep this perfectly still?
Put it down.
Yes, put it down, leave it alone, let it go. And now, look, it's so easy. Don't even need to be that mindful. Now is it moving?
Little bit.
A little bit. But I wasn't patient enough now.
No. No more.
No, but it's perfectly still, yeah.
Very good.
So please, a round of applause to my assistant. Thank you, Desi. So that is a simple teaching, but it's very powerful on how we learn how to meditate. We get out of the way and let it happen. When you understand how your body and mind work, the other simile, which I love these similes because they put the instructions in a very clear format which you can't forget. And the other simile is like the leaf on a tree. If you look at the leaves on the trees in this forest, most of the time they're perfectly still. Are they? If there's a wind, then those leaves move. The stronger the wind, the more it moves. But then it doesn't always have wind at this time of the year. There's sometimes everything is perfectly calm. Like, I don't think there was a wind this evening outside. There's a wind in here, the aircon. But when the wind is perfectly still, there's no wind, sorry, then the leaf has got nothing to move it. It becomes perfectly still all by itself. It's the natural state of a leaf on a bush or in a tree on a calm day, not to move at all. You don't have to hold it still. All you do is to make sure you protect that bush or that tree from the wind. And then it moves less and less and less until it becomes perfectly still, all by itself. And that's one of the most important things for you to recall on this retreat. If you want to experience stillness, peace, relaxation, rest, please make sure you protect your body and mind. Don't try and hold it still. Learn how to allow it to be still by just sitting here and just watching, enjoying, not trying to get somewhere, not trying to fix up things, not trying to hope for something in the future, but just to learn how just to be here and be content and easily satisfied. And you'll hear those words when we chant in the morning time, those who want to come into the morning chanting or the evening chanting. And you'll find that some of those words which we say them twice a day, in the morning, in the evening, they actually get in here. And you remember just how to meditate is learn to be peaceful, how to be easily satisfied, contented, not proud, not demanding. Now imagine that you're sitting here and you're really having a good rest, a good relaxation, not asking for anything. You're not trying to attain something, you're not trying to get rid of things. Instead, you're learning how to allow this body and mind to be. It gets so peaceful, energized and healthy. Now it's a fortunate time for you to come on this January retreat. The reason I say that was because with all the New Year's festivities which we have in our Buddhist Society of Western Australia, and as you all know, that I try and do as much as I possibly can for others, and it gets very tiring. And I'm old now. I've passed my 70th year. And so now you feel that you do need to take a little bit more rest now and again. But I know how to rest. So I took 10 days in my cave, just on the other side of the road from here. I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to visit that later on if you need to, or if you want to, have a look to see how monks live. But anyway, in that cave for 10 days, just meditating peacefully there. And just is wonderful to describe what happens when you meditate and how you meditate. And it's quite obvious afterwards. I was tired, so I made sure that I didn't really worry about the clock. When you wake up in the morning, you wake up. And because it's in the cave, there's no windows. So I don't know what time of the day it is. You wake up, and so you can start meditating. Go outside and go to the toilet, then you can find out what time it is, roughly. But then that's all you do. just eat a little bit, and then the rest of the afternoon and evening, you just to exercise by doing some walking, but not leaving that area. And just seeing just the way that the mind energizes itself with no pressure on it at all. If I felt sleepy, that's fine. If I felt energized, that's fine. In other words, I wasn't putting any demands on my body and mind. Not being proud and demanding in nature. And just let the body just strengthen up by itself. Can you imagine you've got no boss? And of course the hardest boss is yourself. You may think you've got no sort of person in charge telling you what to do, when to get up and how to meditate and what to do and how much to eat and how to wash up and all those sorts of things. There's no one outside tells you what to do, but you are your harshest boss, always telling yourself what to do and how to meditate and not to waste time, blah, blah, blah. Instead of having a hard boss telling you what to do on this retreat, please be kind to yourself. And just allow this body, learn about your body and your mind, on how to look after it, to care for it. A good example of this, and I'll say many of these similes later on, this is only the first day, or first evening, that for many years when I was meditating, even as a young monk, sometimes the mind would wander away somewhere. You'd have a wandering mind. And I was always taught in the beginning, if your mind wanders off somewhere, then to bring it back again. It wanders off somewhere else, bring it back again. Wanders off somewhere else, bring it back again. After about 3 or 4 years of doing that, it wasn't working. And sometimes instead of just always trying to do the same things which don't work, you just stood back and say, why? Why can't I just do something simple like just watching my breath go in and go out? It's a pretty simple thing to do. What's so hard about that? And the problem was, and this is why I share it with you, because this will save you so many years of being frustrated and thinking you can't meditate. The problem was that I was trying so hard to get my breath under control that I had a bad attitude to my breath. I had a bad attitude to my body and mind. I wanted to train it, to make it like this, to make it like that, to be a good monk, to be a great meditator. And I was trying so hard that my mind was rebelling. Just as yours rebels sometimes. So I've had enough of this, I don't want to meditate anymore, blah, 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 blah. Why? And the reason is, again, because that bad attitude, you're not kind to your mind. So after a while, instead of trying to train my mind to always, obey my commands, instead I just was kind to my mind. Mind, if you just want to fall asleep, fine by me. You're tired, fine. Mind if you want to go to thinking about this, thinking about that, fine. And I never tried to control that mind. I let it be. I put it down. And it was so wonderful that it became still all by itself. It was like my mind and me, we became friends. If you want to watch your breath, say, are you trying to control your breath and force your breath to come in this way, go out that way, and always be aware of it? If you do, you soon get tired. The mind will rebel, and you get frustrated. Instead, use the kindness, the compassion, and said, oh, no breath, you're my friend. If you just want to go off somewhere because you're fed up with being just with me for this time, fine. And then what happened next was that the breath was actually had a different attitude to me. This young monk likes me. He doesn't try and control me. The whole relationship changed. Now, for those of you who live in the world who have relationships, partners in life, mothers, daughters, how is your relationship together? Do you always feel your mother controls you? Or you try and control your mum? the other day. We were doing lots of Zoom retreats these days. And I was sharing this Zoom retreat with Ajahn Brahm. Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Brahm were teaching it, different sections together. This was to Singapore and Malaysia and Hong Kong and many other places. And so I actually logged in early, and I was listening to Ajahn Brahmali's talk, just online on Zoom. And as I was listening to his talk, he didn't know that I was listening in on Zoom. He was doing it from one terminal. I had a terminal in my office. And so then somebody asked him, he said, Ajahn Brahmali, you just said that you've learned after all these years how to manipulate Ajahn Brahm. And then so I unmuted and I said, I'm listening to you, Ajahn Brahm. Just for fun. But what was interesting, the idea of trying to manipulate one another, or trying to find ways of the people you live with to make sure that you know how to get your own way or get the way this way, that way. The most wonderful way is not trying to get your own way. It's actually being kind to one another. When one is kind to one another, it's like the other person just wants to help out, wants to do nice things. We have a large monastery here in Jhana, and we've also got a beautiful nuns' monastery as well. We've got two of them over here this evening. And just how do we relate to one another? It's not with control. Quite honestly, how many times have I tried to control you? You see, they won't even answer, so I can't control them. Control is not the way of Buddhism. It's like kindness. And the kindness there is a way to learn how to deal with your mind. Be kind to it, be gentle with it. And then if you're kind and gentle with your mind, you find it's very easy to be peaceful. You find this peace grows and grows and grows and grows. Because the simile is that my breath and I, we've known each other for such a long time. So we hang out together, we chill out together. Have you got a really good, close friend in your life? This experience just illustrates that one of the friends which I had from university days, I hadn't seen him for about 30 years, maybe 25 years, 30 years I think. And then so we arranged to meet up in London. I hadn't seen him for such a long time. And I was now a monk, and he was the head actuary in the whole of Europe. He'd done very well in his life. He was very wealthy, but he was also a good friend. And I'll tell this story. The sorts of silly things you do when you're a student. In those days I was pretty good. I gave up alcohol. But he sort of got drunk one evening at one of the parties in my rooms. And then, so he went to the toilet, and after going to the toilet, he forgot to put his trousers back on. And so all the girls saw him, and from that day on, his name was Harry, so his nickname from that day on was Flash. Flash Harry. And that's just like a nickname when you were just growing up at college and stuff. But then, as soon as I met him, he was in his suit. He was a really important gentleman, like a business person, very well regarded in the business community in London. I said, "Hi, Flash, how you doing?" He said, "Ajahn Brahm, don't say that word." And just young people just growing up, they're just fine. But the strangest thing was that once we started talking, I just couldn't stop talking with him, and he couldn't stop talking with me. We went to in that time it was a Sri Lankan restaurant in London. They were offering us dana. And I couldn't stop speaking with him. And so I did a very quick blessing, but then I was chatting to my friend. And then we still hadn't finished, and I was going to give a talk at the Thai temple next, so we went in the underground train, talking all the way. And even when we got early to the Thai temple in Wimbledon, then we were still talking. And I've never had that happen to me for such a long time, to see someone you felt so sort of at ease with, is a word, and just be able to talk just easily together. And I realized that's because there was no control, there was no fear, there was this beautiful enjoying each other's company. And I remember that's how I look at my breath. I'm mindful of inside. We know each other so well, my breath and I. But it's like when I have a chance to meditate, like the last 9 or 10 days in my cave, it just, hi, you're back again, Ajahn Brahm. Yeah, I've got 9 or 10 days off, I don't have to do any work. Yay! And that's not an exaggeration, that's what it's like. You enjoy the peace and silence inside. You don't try and force it, you don't have to force it. It's a natural leaping towards the peace of the mind. That glass of water that's been still for such a long time, there's no way I could hold it like that. And if you want to try and hold your mind still during this retreat, you just get headaches. But if you let it be still, letting it being still is a totally different path. If you let it be still, it's the easiest thing in the world. And after a while, your mind becomes so beautiful, so peaceful, so still. The next thing to mention is that when it does become still, it's not boring, you don't fall asleep. It's quite the opposite. You may be surprised, but the more still you become, the more clear you feel, and the more energy which you have. It's a regeneration of the energy inside of yourself. It's like you're not wasting energy. Because you're not wasting any energy, just all the energy comes back inside and starts building up. And you find you become really, really alert. And that's one of the reasons why you're actually cultivating the strength of your mindfulness. I don't know why more people don't teach this. It's this classic Buddhist teaching. And it's fantastic to see that the mindfulness which you develop starts getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It's not just you're mindful. It's one of the reasons why that I just coined words like power mindfulness and superpower mindfulness and incredible power mindfulness. What do I mean by that? Just keep your eyes open for these few minutes and look at the floor in front of you. The bamboo floor. Have you ever noticed how beautiful that is? You will find during this retreat that bamboo floor will get more and more and more and more beautiful. It's the same floor. We're not polishing it up or changing it. But you'll find that when you become more still, the mindfulness increases more. It's like you're illuminating it. It gets brighter and clearer and more wonderful. And the classic story behind events of power mindfulness was one of the first meditation retreats which I did as a student. And on that retreat, it was quite a strict retreat. This retreat is not strict at all. It's a kind retreat. If you need to rest, please rest. And get up when you need to get up. Go to sleep when you need to go to sleep. But please don't start snoring during my talk. But anyway, on this retreat we're allowed to go for a walk for 1 hour, just before breakfast, every morning. It was quiet. And I knew the area where we're having this retreat. It was where I was at university. And when we went for this walk every morning, I went into the botanical gardens, which I knew were really close by. And botanical gardens, you should have lots of wonderful things to see in the botanical gardens. But most amazingly, that I couldn't get past the entrance gate. Because at the entrance gate there was a clump of bamboo. And this was actually in Cambridge, in UK. And it was just, it was like, I think it was like autumn. And it's a very cold climate in that part of the world. I never expected to see this beautiful, wonderful, so healthy-looking clump of bamboo. And when you first started looking at it, you were captivated by it. It's like you couldn't take your eyes off it. And you can understand, for those of you who have an appreciation of art, especially classical Chinese watercolors, they always have bamboo in there somewhere. Why? It's because just the shape of them. They're very tender. The way they just bend just so gracefully, on the canvas. Start at the bottom, getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And even the leaves are not sort of gross and big. They're very slender and very refined. And the colors are just beautiful. And just this whole clump of bamboo was one of the most beautiful plants I'd ever seen in my life. And only about 19 or 20 years of age at the time, but it was still beautiful. And at that time, I thought, wow, this is incredible. And I was staring at it, and I caught myself staring at it for about 10 or 15 minutes. And I realized that that's a very dangerous thing to do, to actually just stare with an open mouth. Because if someone had passed by there, I'd think I was on some sort of drugs or something. So I managed to find a seat to sit down on, a bench, and just continue my staring. And I had to tear myself away after 15 minutes to go back for breakfast. But I went back there the next day, and the day afterwards, and the day afterwards, and the day afterwards. For 8 of those 9 days of the retreat, I went back to the most beautiful piece of bamboo in the world I'd ever seen. And I just stared at it and enjoyed every moment. I didn't have to force myself. It was just, I was drawn there. And of course, once the retreat was over, I went back to just being busy again. And then just one afternoon, I thought of the most beautiful clump of bamboo in the world, got on my bicycle, and just went to go and see it again. And I was just so expecting of seeing this incredible, graceful, just the way it bent under its own weight, the colors and the leaves. I was really anticipating seeing its beauty again. But when I got there, I was so disappointed. It was desiccated, dry, a plant which was in the wrong place. It doesn't really survive well in the cold, windy climate of that part of the world. And I couldn't see the beauty at all in it. It was just so ordinary. In fact, it was worse than ordinary. It should be transplanted to a much better place so it can grow well. But of course, what really struck me was, where did the beauty go? For 8 of the 9 days I was on that retreat, that clump of bamboo was just so attractive, so wonderful. And now it was just so ordinary, a plant in the wrong place. Why? Where did the beauty go? And the reason was because when I was meditating, I was so peaceful, so still. You could look at it, like the piece of bamboo in front of you on that floor, and you can start to see its beauty. And it gets more and more beautiful. The longer you look at it, the more still you are. And it's amazing that how you can see beauty in so many things which you were blind to before, when you're very still. The joy and happiness comes up. One of my favorite poets, a fellow called William Blake, he was also an artist. And part of his poetry was to see a world in a grain of sand. See a heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. This is a little 4 lines from a longer poem, but that always struck me, just how that describes what mindfulness can do, how it grows in its strength, to see a world in a grain of sand. Have you ever had the time, paused, and just see a little grain of sand, a little speck of dirt on the ground, and had a look at it, and it just opens up to you. It looks gorgeous and beautiful. And a wild flower. A flower, a wildflower, is always tiny, very small. And sometimes you're just passing one, just in the garden, in the forest, and you pass it and you just stop, and you look a bit closer, and it's like it just opens itself out to you, and it's all the beautiful colours and the shapes, and even you may be able to smell the fragrance of it. Where is beauty? How come you don't see that? You can go straight past it. But when you stop and pause and allow it to open itself up to you, this is figuratively, it doesn't move at all. Just your mind can start to receive just the beauty which is there. You're amazed at just how much beauty there is. Why can't I see that in other times? And hold infinity in the palm of your hand. In other words, it's not something which somebody gives you. It's not something which you didn't have all along. It's not something you have to work out philosophically. It's right there. Infinity in the palm of your hand, right here. And eternity, like timelessness, just right here, right now. It's one of the things which I always ask people to contemplate. Why are we such prisoners of time in our Western world? Always worried about what time it is now, and what time is lunch, what time is breakfast, what time I have to get up, what time I have to go to bed, what do I have to... Please don't do that on this retreat. You know, there are times for breakfast and lunch, but you'll know those. If you doubt me, you just go over to Jhana monastery and you find the birds always know when it's lunchtime. There's hundreds of them come out. And I've never seen any of those parrots or other birds in Jhana monastery with watches on. They don't have iPads or iPhones. They just know when it's the time for lunch. So you don't have to worry about time when you're here. Sometimes people worry about how long they meditate. Oh, it's too short, too long. I forget about that. Just be kind. Just meditate for one moment, just now, and that's all. Which means you're free of so much cause of stress. You don't have to sleep for so many hours or wake for so many hours. Or there's no such rule in this place about sleeping too much or sleeping too little. Sleep the right amount. What's the right amount? Ask your body and mind, what's the right amount? And it knows. It feels, oh, I feel good now, so you just get up. And don't run on fear, because from time we get control, we get fear, and fear we get sort of a lot of suffering in our body and in our mind. Let it be. So little by little, our mindfulness gets very strong. And there's so many lovely stories about mindfulness, what happens when you go on a retreat. Because I just came off a 10-day retreat, personal one, and one which I did last year. I came off and then just had my breakfast with all the other monks, and I had baked beans. And I just put one baked bean, just a single one, on my spoon and put it in my mouth. Wow! In all my life, I've never tasted a baked bean ever like that. Have you ever really investigated like the culinary aspects of baked beans? The tomato sauce, which is not too much, not too little, and it just explodes in flavor in your mouth. And just the texture of a bean which has been baked, I don't know what bean it is, but you put it between your teeth and you just crush it very slowly. It's an amazing experience. It's like you haven't lived until you've eaten a baked bean like that. And wow. No, I'm not exaggerating these things. That actually happened. And it's amazing. It must have been from this incredible... Where did it come from? I think it was a can from Coles or Woolworths or somewhere. Very high quality. It's just ordinary stuff. But because your mind was really open and awake, even just a baked bean tasted amazing. let alone anything else. That's what happens with mindfulness. And so hopefully, in this retreat, after a while, you see people with silly smiles on their face, eating sort of a little bit of rice, or maybe, I don't know what you like, a noodle or a porridge or something, just put one spoonful in your mouth. Oh, wow, what have they done to this porridge this morning? This is amazing. Now you think I might be a crazy monk, but you'll start experiencing this. And you'll find just how wonderful and true this is. Well, just a few anecdotes. This one lady, she came from Sydney a couple of years ago. She was an executive. And she told me she had to beg and grovel to her boss to get time off to come on this retreat. But she came. She was exhausted when she started here, but she was encouraged to take it easy, just rest. And just when you need to meditate, you feel like you want to meditate, meditate. No pressure on you at all. This is not like a workplace. Now, what is my nickname for this place? It's Jhana Grover's official name. We always give it a nickname. And that nickname is Club Med Serpentine. No, Club Meditation, it's short for. Now, when you call it Club Med, it changes the whole idea of what we're doing here. It's rest and relaxation, and it really is. So anyway, I told her that, and she got the idea. She enjoyed herself so much, had some great meditation. And again, could experience the mind just really opening up and being able to see such beauty in just ordinary things. And then when she went back to work, and on a Monday after the retreat finished, she sent me this email. My boss looked at me and said, "What is Ajahn Brahm? What drug is Ajahn Brahm giving you in Serpentine? I don't worry about, I'm not going to call the police, but whatever it is, can you bring me back some next time?" Because it's not any drug, it's just the nature of the body and the mind which relaxes and starts to get some energy up. And you see so much beauty in things. One of these mornings, maybe I'll tell about the health benefits of this. It's natural, it just happens automatically. You get really sort of powerful energies inside. And it heals you, many, many things. That's lovely to see when those things happen. But these are all the benefits, but something you can actually feel for yourself, first of all, the peace, the joy. And then, how do you do that? If you want it, it never comes. To be content and easily satisfied. Not proud and demanding of getting something. Learning to be here. And little by little, we get more used to being here than going somewhere. More used to seeing the beauty in this stuff called here, rather than always trying to get rid of things. Leaving things alone, relaxing, resting. There you find how to meditate. For those of you who've been Buddhists a long time, there's what we call the Eightfold Path. That's just basic core Buddhist teachings. Of the Eightfold Path, we have the second factor of the Eightfold Path. It's called Sammasankappa. I'm not going to translate it, I'm just going to say how the Buddha explained it. The three types of Sammasankappa is coming from a motivation of letting go, coming from a motivation of kindness, coming from a motivation of gentleness. Nekama Sankappa, Vyapada Sankappa, Ahingsaka Sankappa. That's right in the center of the Buddha's teachings. Learning how to do things, not to attain things, but to let go of things. That was hammered into me by Ajahn Chah. Hammered into me, I mean, not sort of, with a hammer or just telling me off. All these great teachers which I saw in those days, they were just so kind. Just let it go. Don't try to attain things. Because I don't know about you, but I always thought that's what you're supposed to do in life. pass your exams, get degrees, attain something, be famous, be well known, blah, blah, blah. That's not the way to live. Learn how to be happy and peaceful. So he told many times, whatever you do in your meditation practice, always meditate to let go of things, to have less. Don't meditate to attain things. Meditate to have less things. I thought, wow, that's really weird. And even other things. I do to look at the news. I thought I should know these things, what's happening in the world sometimes. So I was looking at the ABC news site, and they had an article about New Year's resolutions. I don't know if you made your New Year's resolution, but what really caught my eye was saying, your New Year's resolution should be lower your expectations. Many of you have heard me so many years, hey, that's my line. You stole my line. Lower your expectations. On this retreat, lower your expectations of what you want from this retreat, what you expect from this retreat. And when you lower your expectations, you get things you never dreamed existed before. Beautiful peace, happiness, and joy. You have expectations, you're killing that opportunity to have this wonderful club Med Serpentine, where little by little, these unexpected joys, the beautiful meals which you're going to be eating. It's not, please excuse me, it's nothing to do with the cooks. Honestly, the cooks try their very best, but it's very much to do with your meditation. When your mind gets very still and peaceful, the food, like one baked bean, a simple baked bean out of a can, that was like 5-star. That was even better than 5-star. And this is just what happens. So little by little you start to understand how we meditate. It's fun. It's joy. You're having a wonderful time. And it may happen, I hope it does, it usually does. Last time a couple of people would miss their lunch. Remember why they missed their lunch? It makes me so happy because there's people I've known for such a long time. And sometimes eventually they break through something and they just have this beautiful meditations for the first time. And of course, they don't want to come out of meditation. They're sitting there just enjoying themselves to the max. They know it's lunchtime. They know if they don't get out now, they're going to miss their lunch. There's no contest. You're enjoying the peace and the happiness and the joy so much that why come out for lunch? You can eat tomorrow. So if that happens, don't sort of tell and knock somebody on the shoulder. It's lunchtime. Leave them alone. Let them enjoy. Imagine that happened to the Buddha, about to get enlightened, and someone knocked him on the shoulder. It's time to go. Let this be a beautiful, natural path. And little by little, hopefully the joy, you see, is one of the things which I've been really emphasizing. And it just happens when you don't want it. If you want it, you never get it. When you want something more, you cannot enjoy what you already have. Relax to the max. It's one of my other sayings which I did over in Korea a couple of years ago. There was a big meeting we had actually we did a walk in the demilitarized zone, the DMZ, between the Koreas. And honestly, when I did this, it was about 2 or 3 hour walk in the DMZ. I was shot many times. Honestly, I can't lie, I was shot. Click. 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 Some of you heard my old jokes before, so you know what I'm going to say. But it was just at the very end, when I was about to leave to come back to Western Australia, they asked me, can you please give us a message, a meditation on Dhamma to remember you? And that was the message I gave. Just relax to the max. And I got all these about 6,000 South Koreans. I got them to repeat it. Relax. No, you've got to say it together. Relax. And second word, to the max. And then I could go. That was really good fun. But it was not just for a joke. That's really powerful. Especially in a place, a high-powered place like South Korea. To learn how to relax to the max. Especially when you're in Club Med. When you go home, you go back to work, fair enough. You've got to put some effort into things. But when you're here, see if you can learn how to really relax fully. Can you relax some more? Health benefits are obvious. But not just the health benefits, the meditation benefits. You're not trying to do something or change anything. You're wanting and not wanting are all disappearing. You're just relaxing and being here. In this place, being here is not as bad as people think it is. Don't know why you want to escape. Why you want to go somewhere else. This is pretty good. Honestly, the Jhana growth here. This is a pretty idyllic place. Years ago, when we first built this place, many Singaporeans who came here said, Ajahn Brahm, this is pretty good, but you've missed out one thing here. The golf course. You put a golf course here and it'll be a resort. It's pretty comfortable, I hope, for you. And pretty nice food. And peaceful. And the best thing about it is no one's asking you to do anything. It's wonderful. So little by little, you can relax. It's Club Med. And they say, well, when are you going to teach us meditation? Oh, what are you talking about? I just spent the last 45 minutes teaching you meditation. Learning how to let go. Putting the cup down. This cup has been so still. All of the last 40 minutes hasn't moved at all. It's its natural state. It's its default state. That's the natural state of your mind. Leave it alone. It becomes very peaceful and very joyful. Not a burden at all. As far as insight is concerned, now you know how to be happy and peaceful. Sitting here not wanting anything in the whole world. Just being here. Totally relaxed. At peace. Not trying to achieve anything or get rid of anything. Just being here. So anyone who's never meditated before, you find you have meditated before, but didn't realize it. Anyone who thinks meditation is difficult, it's only because you're trying to do something or get rid of something. After a while you find meditation the easiest thing in the world. Sit here and just do nothing. Where you can have some beautiful happiness and peace. And afterwards, I don't know why, but sometimes to come on a retreat like this, it's your holiday time. Many people have to use the time allocated from your firm for holidays, and you come here. And then when you tell a person, where are you going for holiday? Oh, I'm going to a meditation retreat. We get up in the morning really early, we only eat sort of a little bit in the morning and nothing in the evening, and we don't do this, we don't do that, and I think you're mad, you're crazy. Why don't you go somewhere, a real Club Med? We can have this whole big buffet, you can have room service if you want, have entertainment, have... You've been on holidays like that, and you come back and you're just worn out by the time you get back. One of my friends, he did actually go to a Club Med over in Europe somewhere, and I asked him, can I look at the program? And there's something going on every moment of the day. You don't have any peace at all when you're on holiday. But you come here and you can really relax. And it shows afterwards. And you go back, wow, people know you feel energized, happy, joyful. Even when I had my booster shot in COVID yesterday, the nurse who gave me this shot, and I had to tell them my age. I was born in 1951 in August, So I'm over 70 years of age, and she said, now you've got to tell the truth. You can't be 70 years of age. Of course I am. How come? And it's because you live a very peaceful life. Because of that peaceful life, you don't need to have Botox injections. You don't need to have cream on your face at night time. I don't have anything on my face at night time. It's amazing just how your health and just the sense of ease on your bodily features can be enhanced simply by relaxing to the max. That's how it happens. So that's a taste of what this retreat is going to be like. Of course, you can't tell everything about meditation in one go. Actually, you can, but then you wouldn't let me. You always want to talk tomorrow and a talk another day, so always leave something for the next day, the next day, the next day. Always talking about things in a different angle. But it's also there's opportunities for questions, which is really important. So for the questioning, I don't know if you were told this in the briefing, that every evening there's going to be the Q&A time. And those Q&A time is usually just after 7 o'clock. Is it still the case? 7:10 to after the chanting till 8 o'clock. Please excuse me, but I always try to keep it to 8 o'clock, but it always goes to 8:30 or longer. But if you need to have a break, please let me know. We can have a break and then carry on with the questions afterwards. So you can actually ask any question. I may not know the answer, I may not give an accurate answer, but I always try my best. And there's also the opportunities for the personal interviews as well. And those interviews, not tomorrow, because it's the first day. I want people to settle in on the first day, which is, this is the first evening, the first day. And that'll be starting on Sunday. Yeah. So those are some interviews at that time, which means you come and ask questions, please, about meditation. And please don't ask me about sort of any relationship issues, because I've never been married. What would I know? What about kids? What about money? What do I know? There's still people keep asking, which is nice. But anyway, those are like personal interviews. If it's on meditation, it's the best. And then afterwards, I think the reason why people ask me about all sorts of psychology problems, you know why? Because I'm cheap. It's true. But there's also sometimes you see things from a different angle and you can get different insights to add to solve the suffering in life. So anyway, that's what's going to happen. So that's about the time for this evening, just gone 5 minutes to 9. Any questions about what I've said so far? Anything which I've missed out? Nolia? It's okay so far? No, I think so. Yeah. Okay, so those people the smart addicts who want to sort of sit for longer here. I used to be like that. Some of the stories which I used to come on these retreats, and because I was a teacher, so I better sit longer than anybody else. I would sit up here after the talk had finished, close my eyes, and a few other people would also sit a bit longer. And after 15 minutes, I'd open my eyes, and there's always 3 or 4 people still here. And yeah. And then I'd keep my eyes closed another 5 or 10 minutes and open my eyes again. Still about 2 ladies still here. Who do they think they are? That's stupid. This is not a competition. So if you feel tired, just go and take a rest. Simple. Always come back in here later on. And that's the other thing. Please, if you don't feel tired, then just carry on meditating here. Enjoy it. And in the morning time, if you stay up here till midnight or 1 o'clock or something, that's nice. And then you can have a sleep in the morning. Or you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, just come in here and meditate. It happens. I must confess, I don't know. I found out that I was getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning over the last week. It's just natural, you just get up. You've got energy. Don't know why, it sounds a bit silly now, getting up at 2 a.m. in the morning. It's very quiet. Have you ever been up at 2 o'clock in the morning? It's really quiet, peaceful. No one else is up. Wow. And if you want to meditate, a nice place to meditate is on the stupas. You know those big monuments outside? Because they've soaked up the heat of the day. They're warm. I don't mind people doing this. You can actually go on the stupa and just lay back. Lay back with your back on the stone. And look out at the Milky Way. That's incredible. Just wait for a little while because there's too much light distortion at the moment. But after half an hour or something, when most people are in bed, lay back on that. Wow. It's gorgeous. This is all on offer here. It's all for free. One thing I would ask you not to do, though, is that on the stupas, I told this to one of the retreatants' kids, and I saw them because they were playing around, and I said, the tradition is, on those stupas, they're from Borobudur, the same stone as used in the big monuments there, that if you get on that stupa and you can put your hand through the holes, the diamond holes, you see there's Buddha statues inside. And if you can actually reach and touch one of those Buddha statues, it means that you will find in your life true love. Be careful if your partner's on this retreat and they see you trying to reach in to find true love. And there's a couple of people whose wife is on this retreat, so if I see you try to put your hand in there, I will tell your wife for sure. But no, it's just a little bit of fun which they had over in Java, in Indonesia. But it doesn't work anyway. But it's a nice thing to enjoy instead of finding, actually maybe it does work. A real love, which is not attachment, but just peace and joy and kindness. That's the greatest part of love. So maybe that might happen to you. Lay on your back, reach inside, and see if you can find real peace and freedom. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I think that's enough for tonight. Okay, so when we finish a talk, for those who've been here before, we usually do these 3 words called sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. The word sadhu in English, the best translation is called awesome. It is actually a pretty accurate translation. I mean, it's really good, yeah. But we don't just do sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We do it with energy. Are you okay to do it with some energy? Okay, so here it comes. Sadhu, sadhu. Another big one. Sadhu. Okay. So have a very good night, if you wish. You don't have to. See you all in the morning, whenever you wake up, whatever happens. Okay. Okay. It's moving now.